not gonna lie, really not looking forward to this. So this is the harness, engine harness, originally out of the 04 Avalanche. It's been modified. Computer plugs have been depinned with the stuff you don't need as far as anti-theft and emissions and that kind of stuff. These are all the hookups I need to hook up to the square body. So what I need to do is run it, basically hook it up to the engine, injectors, sensors, that kind of thing, and then run it down, hook it up to the tranny. So on the 2004 Avalanche that this came out of, the computer sits right around here. So your harness would come down and your computer would plug in here. I don't want to put my computer in this area. I decided to mount it actually inside. It'll be behind the glove box. Behind the glove box, above the heater. Basically in this little slot here. Fits in there, made some mounts, so it fits in there. So, with that being said, there's a hole in the firewall. Right here. There's a hole there where all my wiring is going to go inside, into the cab, shoot over, and then the computer's gonna sit over there. So, the wiring that was originally supposed to go over here is not long enough. Therefore, it's gonna get probably around here, and then I need to lengthen it to get all the way over to there. So what I need to do is hook everything up how it's supposed to be, run my wires inside the cab, and then figure out where it needs to be. Then from there, mount the computer, lengthen the wires. This is kind of why I wasn't looking forward to this, because there's probably a good, I don't know, between the two of these plugs, you probably have a good 50 wires at least that need to be lengthened. All different colors, all very important. I guess I'll just get started. Expecting that at all. So this is where I have the computer mounted. It's just sitting in there loose right now. It'll get tightened up. So routed this all in here, and it turns out stock harness length actually reaches over here. Surprisingly, I wouldn't say it's even really tight. You just don't really have spare wire per se. I'll have to make sure, once I get the defrost vent tube in here that goes down that way, I'll have to make sure it still works. I was planning on tucking the harness up to the firewall and then the vent will go inside of it. That was kind of my idea. The only thing I think I'm gonna do is, the way I have this routed does this kind of loop around and that goes in. The only thing is this injector wire. It's a little on the tight side. That will probably get lengthened. That's just 2 wires. So I think I'll lengthen that one, and then the alternator plug is the only one it doesn't quite reach. So that's 3 wires. I'll lengthen that one as well, and then tidy this all up. I think I'm gonna get some braided loom and some nicer tape and redo a lot of this, but surprisingly, it actually works. I was expecting to add at least a foot or 2. Turns out it's actually long enough, so if anyone out there is wondering if you can do it, apparently you can do it if you route your harness the right way. Then my tack module. This is the harness for the gas pedal module. that, I'm thinking I'm gonna mount it up beside this brake pedal, brace, whatever you want to call it, beside the steering column. I think I'll put it there, then gas pedal will go down there. So here's my plan. So before I finalize all the wiring in here for the PCM, I want to get the PCM mounted 100% because it's still sitting here loose. So in order to do that, I need to finalize the heater box mounting because it's only held in there with a couple bolts right now. And then in order to finalize that mounting, I need to get the outer heater box put on there so it can be attached. They kind of sandwich the firewall together, so it's kind of a two-part thing. Can't do one without the other. So right now, I am going to go clean up the old heater box, get it sanded up and ready for paint. And then once that's all assembled, that can go back on, PCM can get mounted 100%. Then I want to get the defrost vent in so I can figure out how to route the wires, and then from there I can finalize my wiring. Basically a long way of saying I have stuff to do before the wiring. As you saw in the time lapse there, as I was waiting for the paint to dry on that heater box, I just kind of dove under here a little bit. I was looking at the wiring. I thought I had done a little bit more previously, but there was some connectors up on top of the column here that I hadn't plugged in. Not too sure what they're for, but they were very stubborn to try and get to. So you saw I had to drop the column down. This is the harness that goes up there. And being that it's a little cold in here, so the wires aren't super flexible, so it wasn't exactly the most fun job. But I did get it in there. Have the brake switch in here now as well. Still has to get wired in. So that got done over time lapse. And then now I'm going to step over. My heater box pieces are dry. I have a new accumulator right there. I have the, whatever that's called, I forget what that's called. Clamp for the accumulator and some strip caulking for when I put the two halves together. I also have a new blower motor that I will go get. Took a bit of time, but got her all put together. Got a brand new blower motor in here. This is one out of I believe I ordered it for a 93 or 94 Chev half ton. That's the next generation. I was told if you put one of those in, you can get faster fan speeds, I think was the idea. Faster speeds, so then you get more blowing pressure essentially. And it just bolts right into this case here. Then it has a brand new accumulator. I reused the old low pressure switch should be all right. If not, I'm sure it's not too much money to replace it. I will be getting a new resistor and blower motor relay, so that's why those are not installed yet. So those will go on once I get them. And the only other thing I'm missing, actually, I need the tube that goes from here over into here. I might need to try and find one online because I don't think I actually have one here. So that's a bummer. Other than that, I'm gonna clean up this wiring, put some braided loom on it, I think. And then I will need to drill a hole right here so I can ground it. And then this wire will go something like that. Ground the cab to the blower motor, and then positives right there. So yeah, that's how that turned out. Next thing, I think I'm gonna go, like I said, I'm going to mount the computer up there. I just pulled it out for now. And then I'll get the defrost vent, put that in there, make sure I can actually fit this whole harness in behind that, between the firewall and the defrost vent. Once I know that for sure, then I'm gonna go ahead and get some braided loom, cover all that up, and hopefully kind of mount that in for good. I know it looks like a bit of a mess right now, but the defrost vent is in there. Surprising how much room you actually have between the defrost vent and the firewall. Like, you could definitely fit way more wires behind there if you had to. So anyway, that's all I needed to check. It's not in there for good. It's gonna have to come back out because the harness is gonna have to come back out. But so that fits. Now that I know that, I can clean up this harness, get the computer installed, and get it all plugged in. Next thing is probably gonna be figuring out wiring for the fuel tank switch. Gotta find the harness for that, and then run it through the firewall in the proper hole. So that was just a simple 4-wire harness. You just have your 2 green wires, go through the firewall, you have your pink that goes to the fuse box, and your black that goes to ground. And it pops out in its own hole in the firewall, right over here. So there's the 2 wires that go down to the tanks. I am still running the dual tanks with the LS. I've got a new selector valve that is rated for a higher pressure for the fuel injection, as well as high pressure fuel pumps in each tank. And this is essentially all my wiring that goes to the back. This is for rear lights, rear tanks, the selector valve, as well as I think I might be putting a trailer, 7-pin trailer plug on it. So that's what all that's for. So that will have to get wired into the 2 green wires, and then they'll get wired into that, which goes to the fuse block. And so with that being said, I think I'm gonna call today's video here. There's a lot of kind of boring wiring stuff in this video, a little bit of assembly, but that's kind of just the name of the game when you're doing a restoration like this, when you're putting a newer engine in. There's a lot of wiring that needs to get done. I still need to find some braided loom that's big enough for the main branch of the ECM. I need like 1-inch diameter stuff, and it's kind of tough to find. So once I get that, I can button up that main branch, and then get this grommet on here for the firewall where it all goes through. So then that can be finalized. And then from there, I can start wiring that into the truck, because I kind of want to just start wiring that into the truck. So yeah, with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe, because we've got a lot more content coming with this, obviously, because it's nowhere near done. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment if you liked it, and we'll see you in the next one.